As artists, a lot of times we need to push beyond our comfort zone to really grow. Getting out of our safe space, it's a challenge. Stick around, we have a lot to talk about. Hello and welcome to Music Industry City's Monday Kickoff, where we offer up important tips for a successful career and get you motivated for the week ahead. I'm Peter Schwing, and join me as always, my fellow co-host, Ayesha Adamo. If you liked what you hear, chat. Join us in the chat. If you have some questions, you can join us in the chat. We're on Facebook, YouTube, all the other Twitch, whatever. I mean, we're like in 10 different places right now. And if you like what you hear, you can also check us out, musicindustrycity.com. You can sign up for free and find out all of our programming and everything else. So let's get right into it. Jump in right. Ayesha, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Peter?
Good, good. How was your weekend?
It was pretty great. I mean, busy, but good, good. The Thelemic Holy Days were actually this past weekend. So people who are into the Thelemic stuff, we're reading the Book of the Law, we're doing readings, we're talking spiritual stuff, and it's good times. Yeah. How about you?
Did a lot of movie watching. I got my first COVID shot on Friday. And it really kind of knocked. I'm like, normally I sleep in a little bit on weekends, but this weekend was kind of extra. I was drained, like just nothing. I was just like, so I just watched a lot of movies, and now I have to like binge and finish the series that I'm watching. It's all Marvel Cinematic Universe. So
I think that's the way to do it.
I know, exactly. Well, that was the thing. So when we first went into lockdown over a year ago, I really hate that saying. Over a year ago, when we went to lockdown, it was music consumption changed, like listening behavior changed across the board. Podcasts went down because podcasts were typically something you listen to in a car, commute to work, subways, walking, things like that. Those went down. So did music listening. So music listening went down because everybody went over to video, because video was a little more comforting, and it was kind of like, oh, we have a month vacation, it seems. Remember 14 days to flatten the curve? And so everybody's like, oh, we'll have a month vacation. We'll be back by June or something. So let me catch up and binge all the videos. So a lot of the video services got an uptick in viewership while music went down. Then it adjusted itself after probably like midsummer, when people are like, no, this isn't going to be 14 days to flatten the curve. This is already about next year. So music listening came back. But then it was a really interesting change was that music consumption was not necessarily all new music. I mean, people still listening to new music, yes, but they found that people were listening to legacy artists, like more comfort music. Like music that you would listen to when you were growing up or something. So there's a lot about, change, and now it's starting to balance out again.
No, I definitely participated in that. Like, it's like pretend it's another era. Just, listen to the sounds of the 70s and pretend we're not in this time period. Totally.
Well, if you're in the 70s,
it's very effective.
Yeah. Well, if it was the 70s, if you grew up and you were going through the 70s, then it could be the era of like, all right, Vietnam War, gas prices, waiting online.
The gas.
You waiting at the gas line, depending on the last number, if it was even or odd, the last number digit of your license plate could tell the day that you could get a fill up on gas.
See, I was more at Studio 54. I wasn't concerned with those things. I was more at the disco ball, listening to some Giorgio Moroder in there, riding a horse. You know how it is.
So today, I mean, some of the things that, people have been forced during this time, especially musicians, creatives, is to look at their goals, look at their career, look at themselves, and also to kind of like reevaluate, because, live, you couldn't go touring. It's like, well, am I releasing an album? Does that go with the touring cycle? I'm releasing a song, things like that. And a lot of musicians that have started to do great things where they weren't maybe comfortable live streaming on Twitch. They weren't comfortable with using different platforms, and they went ahead and taught themselves. I know plenty of musicians that actually taught themselves Unity, which is a 3D rendering animated program that they use for games. and have used that for virtual reality and have created their own virtual reality worlds and are doing music and that things they've never done before. And a lot of times, you see this a challenge, and it's like you got to get out of that safe space in a sense.
Absolutely. Yep. I think that's a great example and a great lead in to like what I want to talk about today.
Well,
I
then
mean,
I'll let you take it away.
all right. Let's do that thing. So yeah, what we were just talking about during the time of lockdown, there are these two things going on. Really, there's the one part I know, at least in myself, one part of me that's like, I just want to pretend it's another era. I'm going to listen to nostalgia music. I'm going to watch some nostalgia TV that's on YouTube, that kind of thing. And then the other part that's like, I have this time. I need to grow and I need to push forward and do things that maybe aren't that comfortable to me, but it's going to push my artistry and, maybe the reach of my artistic work to another level. So I think we all have these two balanced things, that we need to try and work out in within ourselves. Yes, a lot of people out there talk about safe spaces in terms of, healing and trauma and all that. And all of that is definitely valid. We all need places to go to lick our wounds, to heal, to get back to where we can move onward. But, the idea that every space should be a safe space, I mean, no, that is not happening. And it's especially not happening if you've decided to be an artist for your career. And even more so if you're an artist in a country like America where nobody funds the arts because nobody cares about them. I mean, if you think it's going to be anything but a bumpy road, you in danger, girl. Yeah. So here's the thing. As creatives, we're constantly going to be pushing the envelope. We have to push outside our comfort zones, especially because the music industry today asks us to do things that are well beyond just, singing or playing an instrument or performing. It asks us to be full self promotion teams. It asks us to be videographers. It asks us to program websites. It asks us all of these kinds of things that are beyond the scope of what things were a couple decades ago. So we have to grow. We have to push outside these comfort zones. And in those spaces, I mean, naturally, it's going to feel like nothing is safe because we haven't done this stuff before. There are all these things that are new. And even when you are comfortable with all the technology, there's always a new app, there's always a new avenue, there's always something that's going to be like, oh, now I have to learn it all over again. I'm not, this is not easy. It's not comfortable. The world is changing and it's changing fast. Like, what the hell? I mean, blockchain, hello. That's some complicated shit right there. So, I want to give an example from my own life this past week. I had this amazing opportunity to DJ for my friend Danye's radio show, Middle Eight, on Newtown Radio. And it's really cool. It's an awesome show, dance music oriented. I was supposed to be scheduled at the end of the month, but like maybe Wednesday last week, she was like, "Can you do it on Friday instead?" Cool, great. Here's the catch though. The radio station isn't set up for DJs to really come in and plug in, a bunch of wires and have their controller and all that stuff. I usually play out of Ableton. So I was going to have to play vinyl, which is fine with me because I had used to play vinyl all the time. Except I thought I was going to have a few weeks till my date at the end of the month to reacclimate myself to playing vinyl because it is a challenge in a way that the new avenues of DJing are, pretty easy to beat mix. Not a challenge at all. So I had this kind of big challenge before me of like, I have a day to kind of go through my records and remember how to beat mix vinyl and see if that can happen or if it's going to sound like two sneakers in a dryer. That's not the kind of beat mix you want, in case you don't know. So yeah, it was a challenging thing too. I was going through my records, and let me tell you, some of those mixes were not cute. Like I was practicing, and I was like, "Let's try that again, okay, girl? Let's try it again." But I was going to do this gig, and I did, and it was super fun and it was super amazing. And yeah, I had to focus. It was funny because Danielle, like, she was like, "Oh, do you want me to like get you a beer or something?" I'm like, if I weren't playing vinyl, yes, but I really need to focus. I'm like, I'm gonna stick with water or kombucha, like just zone in. But it was so much fun and so gratifying to do that and to feel the records and to be in the zone like that, especially after having been in lockdown, not DJing at all out in any pseudo public way for over a year. So the rush that came from pushing beyond this thing that I knew could really go awry, and I was pretty much flying by the seat of my pants on this, was so exciting and so invigorating. And invigorating as an artist, as a music person, it just filled me up. And that's what you want, you know? When you push yourself outside of your comfort zone, when you push yourself into things that are uncomfortable, there's a rush that comes with it when you do have the little successes. And this was not a perfect set. Not everything was like it would be if I, were playing vinyl all the time. But it was good, and the feeling of it was good. Just doing it, just pushing into that uncomfortable place, and having it happen. And really, you just have to get to the place with yourself that we're here, we're doing this thing, we're people, we make mistakes. We've just got to go out there and do it. So I just want to encourage all the artists out there who are listening to this, and even people who are not artists who are listening to this, that sometimes the best cure for our wounds and our insecurities is just to get out there and throw ourselves into the action, even if that might hurt, even if, we're in the big waves and the waves might knock us down, and we might eat a mouthful of sand. If you catch it, it's like soaring. So it's worth it. It's worth it to be knocked down for that chance that things might just float and soar and be amazing. So I hope that all the artists out there will find something this week and in this month and in this year to really challenge themselves with, put themselves in like just the place you don't want to go, because that's where you're going to find the gold. And that's what I've got for this week.
Right on. And if it's the easy place to find the gold, that's where everybody else has already found the gold and there's no more gold to find.
That's so true.
So yeah, I mean
They've
one of
already
the
been
big
in there with their little sifters.
exactly. One of the big things I always say is like the brain, brain says no. The
Mhm.
brain likes comfort, the brain likes repetition, the brain likes to solve puzzles, and it likes to have a beginning, a middle, and it's like, here you go. And when you try to do something different, brain's like, no, no, I don't know this. So it's not you, it's your brain, which kind
Yeah,
of is you. But here's the thing. I mean, there's a couple of saying they say like, it's like there's opportunities when you try something new and it doesn't work out, you still learned from it. So you can incorporate that into something else per se. And it's like, limiting to yourself to what you're potentially missing out on other opportunities.
absolutely. And I think, as creatives, you have to have this mentality of never choosing comfort pretty much. I mean, there are times when you'll have to, but you really need to adopt the mentality of constantly going after, the new, the uncomfortable, and just chasing it down. Otherwise, you're not going to get there. I'm. That's just kind of how it is, I think.
Like for musicians and producers and stuff, or, guitarists or keyboardists, and it's like when you're producing something and you take that sound, you're like, oh, this sound is a great sound. You pull up, synth 42 lead, it's big lead. And if like you play that, it's like, okay, it's a good sound, but something, everybody else, that's the easy part. Everybody else that has that plugin has that sound. So if you want it to stand out, take that sound and do something with it. Take that sound out of the comfort zone, what's there, and break out and mess with the effects, do
Mess
something
with that
different with
square
that.
wave.
Hit that resonance knob.
Get that high pass filter.
But yeah, that's how new genres were made. I mean, that's how new, like, that's how like things like dubstep came into play, and different sounds and different genres. I mean, those people weren't, saying like, oh, here's a sound. It's like, no, how do I mess this sound up? How do I break this? And that's the, and so it's like not picking the same choice. So it's like the safe choice, not the same choice, but the safe choice. So it's like, if you want to break out, like they say, take the first step. Well, if you take the first step and the first step is like, oh, I'm going to do something safe, that's defeating the purpose in a sense, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we have to take these things one step at a time sometimes, but you know, choose a first step that's going in a direction that's new. Choose, a different path, one that's less trodden. I think that's where the adventure is. So yeah, one step at a time, but one step at a time on a path that's an adventure. I think that's what you want.
Two roads diverge in the woods.
I knew you were going to take it there.
You had to. Well, so let's talk about like public performance. I mean, you brought up a great thing about being in lockdown. Many musicians hadn't had the opportunity to practice a stage show or work with their band and like rehearse to get their chops up. And some have found innovative ways to still work together. I mean, it's still it's tough to like rehearse. You can't really rehearse as a band for a stage show. There's nothing that'll replicate the in-person experience, but it's about coming up with like maybe something unique and new for when you come out. Like, what's going to help you stand out? That is the other thing, because as the gates start to open up and you're vying for the limited slots. There's already limited space at venues, depending on the city, town, and some of those venues might not be there when we are opening back up. So now it's going to be a mad dash. People, here's the 10th hold. Like, oh, we can put you on 10th hold for August 25th. So once those holds get released and those dates and like trying to get in there, you're competing again. You're going to have some extra competition with the fact that people just want to be outside and they want to get out to a venue. So where are they going to go first? Are they going to go see you, or are they going to see this act that they know that's like, this is one of their go-to bands? So again, you're always competing against that. But the thing is, like, what innovative ways have you thought about making your stage show stand out? Get out of your comfort zone of, hey, we just get on stage and it's like, hi, hello, Cleveland, play a song, I talk a little. What else could you do? And I know people that have created, and again, going back to learning art, visuals, things like that they're like, I'm bringing this on stage with me. They're teaching themselves the visuals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really, I'm interested to see what happens next with all of that. And as we start having live shows, yeah, I don't know, but I do expect that what you're saying is true, that there will be this mad dash, and it's going to be hard to elbow a way in there. So I think perhaps for a lot of artists, online is still going to be very, very important, because those avenues might not be open just yet to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's musicians that have like started really building their fan base on Twitch, or they were Twitch streamers and that are musicians and they've built a fan base. They might not have the experience. I mean, I've seen where they've put out like multiple releases over the last year and a half and they've never been on a stage. So it's like, how do they translate to where they're fans? Like, okay, you have lots of fans, but when you go out and put someone on stage, or for those musicians that it's not for everyone, live streaming is not for everyone, certainly, and you can't force anybody to, say like, oh, you must do live streaming. It's more about saying, hey, if you're comfortable, like, and that's the thing is a lot of them are saying, I'm uncomfortable with the technology or knowing how to do this, or it's not going to look great. It's like, well, step out your comfort zone and try it out.
Yeah, it's okay to look bad too. I mean, everyone's first streams, everyone's first, TikToks, or they look bad. So I wouldn't beat yourself up over looking bad. Like, just put it out there. Just do it. That's a theme. That's totally a Dave theme. Even though he's not here this week, he'll
Yeah.
be back next week. But yeah, that's
Yes.
that's what Dave would say.
David's just like, go do it. Just create, just make it, get it out there. Just do it. Just go do it. I'm like, the world
Mhm.
deserves to hear your music. And that's the thing, because after you do it, I mean, we've been doing this a long time, and it's still like some mice, I might click the wrong button still. Who cares? I think
Yeah,
I do that every
the
week.
show goes on.
There's always something. So, all right, final thoughts, Ayush, before we wrap up.
I think just dive in. Just dive in, and the summer's coming. Dive into summer. Dive into fabulousness. Dive out of your comfort zone and into the wild, wild waters. Who knows what's there?
Bite into a York peppermint patty. That was like really like, I felt like there should be like some ocean waves or something, some visual like it's ocean waves, like
A
the aerial
blizzard of
view, the
snow.
drones, people sailing, windsurfing. We totally needed to have that there. Fantastic. All right. Thanks, Ayesha. And that is going to be it for this week. Always join in. You feel free to chat and join in the comments below. Also, hit up musicindustrycity.com, where you can find out the podcast. You can find out our live streaming talks. We're on Clubhouse. We do all the stuff. We're all over the place. So sign up for free at musicindustrycity.com, and we'll make this happen. All right. And once again, thank you to my co-host, Ayesha Adamo. Have a great day. Peace.